Happy March, ladies and gentlemen. March 3rd. He knows ball. It's mock draft day. Corner right, Cameron left, sword in his alley. And John Downey, he's definitely in the island of Staten, but he's at a doctor right now. It might be checking. I didn't disclose what he might be checking. Well, what do we think he'd be getting checked out right now?
There's a lot of guys going on IR in the Does He Know Ball community.
Yeah, hopefully no UCL, no Tommy John. Prayers up, JD. Hopefully it's just a little like, hey, little checkup. How you doing? Let me check your reflexes. Speaking of checking reflexes, measuring height, weight, the NFL Draft Combine was this weekend, and oh boy, there was nothing. It was there. Like, I don't understand why the quarterbacks don't test. I really don't. It's just, I don't know, man. It baffles me.
Yeah.
Like, they had one quarterback who ran the 40. They were just there.
It's the new Pro Bowl. No one wants to do it.
No, seriously, like, it's such a waste, bro. Even like a lot of other people didn't test too. I don't get it. The only reason you shouldn't be able to test is if you either suck and aren't getting invited, or you're injured. And well,
at this point, just make the senior day the combine. That's what all these guys.
That's what Shador and Cam are doing.
Control the elements.
Not Cam Gorman.
Get Cam Gorman at the senior.
Cam Gorman.
But all right. We'll kick this off as we always do. A little early start, but doesn't matter. A little bit of Does He Know Ball.
Does he know ball?
All right, folks. Well, we kind of spoiled this one for Corey already. But it's almost draft time, so I figured what possible way than the multi-Oscar sweeping movie, probably. I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. I don't think it even got nominated. But the famous movie Draft Day, about the infamous NFL draft where we met some lovely characters. Don't know how Bo Callahan ended up doing in the NFL. Maybe waiting for the sequel to come out. But do any of you guys possibly know who had the first overall pick in that draft before the Seahawks? There you go. That's all I was looking for today.
Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah,
They traded back 3 first-round picks.
3 first-round picks of what year? And what did they trade back to in that year? Do you know?
They traded back to 7.
Yeah.
And then when Sonny Weaver drafts Fonte Mack, and he trades up to 6 with Jacksonville, gives away all the second-round picks. And then he says he wants all his first back, and he wants David G.D. Putney. I love how they wanted like a punt return.
It's the most Browns pick.
I want David G.D. Putney just because I feel like it.
Who was the quarterback that was in their room already?
Brian Drew.
Because he didn't want Bo Callahan on the team because of all the issues.
Yeah. Well, the one of the things I like the most is because I'm on the IMDb page. Trivia. This trick used by the Washington Redskins of taping a $100 bill in the back of a playbook seemed to be inspired by the anecdote of Jamarcus Russell. His coaches in Oakland did not believe he was watching game film and once purposely sent him home with blank DVDs to watch. He returned claiming he watched them and liked the game plan, obviously lying. There's a similar story in the 1980s with Randall Cunningham. So in the movie, they talk about how they send like the playbook, right? Taping the $100 bill. And Bo Callahan, like they always do it, like, they see if they're lying or not. And they ask Bo if he did. He's like, he doesn't bring up the $100 bill. And they bring it up, he like lies. That was like the big thing, like, he's a liar, he's not trustworthy. And I was like, hey, that's the second weirdest thing I've heard. The first one was Brian Drew sent us the $100 bill. He said, you can keep that for when you win a Super Bowl. You're on the Browns. You're not winning the Super Bowl. Also, like, it's a great movie. It's a very entertaining movie at the surface. But if you really, like, deep dive into it, NFL does not work like that. If you're trading away 3 first-round picks, you're not getting them back the same day. I mean, like,
my picks back.
No. You don't want the quarterback? I'm getting the quarterback?
Howie would do it. Howie would find a way.
So there's that. What else was really... They were, like, talking about... He went to Nebraska, and they were like... what was it? Who was at his birthday party? It's like, I don't know if that's relevant, but okay. I mean, I know, like, look, there's definitely things that NFL scouts and the front office, like, look into. I don't know if celebrating your birthday is one of them. Like, is it?
You have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely not. But
I
gotta watch
Big
it.
part of the movie.
It's
is
a-
no
it's
one
a-
wants to
It's yeah. No,
I'm intrigued.
It's
I'm
like,
intrigued.
I really enjoyed the movie. I'm not gonna say I don't like the movie, but there's a lot of things that it doesn't make sense. Like logically, it doesn't make sense. I love that Arian Foster plays a running back, not named Aaron, aka plays a running back in the movie. Chadwick Boseman's great in it. The one thing I like about Chadwick Boseman, Kevin, I don't remember if you remember this, his phone case are like brass knuckles. He has like the grip on the side of his phone.
I'd have to go back and
Yeah.
watch it. I probably know what you're talking about.
So his phone has like, you know how, like brass knuckles, you put it like each of your fingers in like the respective. So he has that on like the side of his phone. So he literally does that. Like that's crazy.
Oh yeah, I just pulled up an image. Yeah.
This movie came out after 42 too. That was the first Chadwick Boseman movie that I
Yeah,
really remember.
42
Yeah.
is such a good movie.
Great movie.
Harrison Ford.
Also our favorite player. Got me feeling nicey. Terry Crews is in that, by no surprise. Love Terry Crews. All right, enough about Draft Day. It's a great movie, but
We have to go to draft day though.
it's time for our Draft Day. So as the Combine has passed, once we get a little bit closer to the actual NFL Draft Day, we will circle back. But we kind of want to do a post Combine mock draft. So we know the picks. What we'll do, we are using mock draft database, so shout them out for having this great website. The only thing that they don't allow is they don't have players like on the rosters to trade. So if we are to do a trade where to include a player, we just have to like make amend for that.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. So let's kick it off with the first pick. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Now, there has been a lot of rumor about them going with the best available player. And we were talking about this before the show. There's been rumors that the Jets are trying to move up from 7 to 1 to take Cam Ward, sell the bag. I can't see it happening.
I'm gonna try and find this tweet. I think it was from ML Football.
Yeah.
Look for it real quick, but it was something crazy. They were trying to do. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, it was like this year's first, next year's first, next 2 years like second. It's ridiculous. It would be the most Jets thing ever, and I really wish John was here to comment on this because I know he would probably want him to smash his head through the desk.
But so they've been saying that the Titans have been saying at least that they're going to go with the best available player. Now, if you look at a lot of not draft boards, but big boards, you'll see, you know, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. You can make an argument for the quarterbacks, I guess. I don't know which direction they go. If they're true and dead set now, Abdul Carter, I feel like he's doing everything in his power to go to Philadelphia. He's posting the Eagles jerseys. He now has like the foot injury, but he's going to prove that he's all right. I still think Carter's the best available, for sure.
Yeah. If they keep the pick, it's probably gonna be Abdul.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, in kind of transitioned positions this year really worked. As an edge rusher, he was exceptional. 13 sacks, 43 hurries. PFF gave him a grade over 91, which is insane. He's one of the reasons that Penn State went as far as they did in the playoffs. He's an excellent player. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm taking Abdul Carter. Any argument there?
No, but if they had to go quarterback, I'd probably go Cam Ward. But I don't think they're going to.
I think this year, especially with how stacked the draft class is next year, we've talked about this numerous times, how you could have a mid to late first and still get an exceptional quarterback. So I think they're going to roll it one more year with Will Levis and see what happens. So the Tennessee Titans pick Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State. So with the next pick, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. There's a couple different ways I could see them go. Theoretically, they could go quarterback. Will they? No, because I think with the Watson contract, I know Watson's hurt. He's going to miss part of the season. I just think they're not going to bring in a long-term fix until that contract's over.
Yeah, because that contract is absolutely killing them. Just like that entire quarterback room is killing them.
100%.
So
Now, with that, there's obviously been a ton of rumors that the Browns are going to trade Myles Garrett. Now, they're very much saying it's not going to happen. We're sticking with Garrett. We're not sending him anywhere. Do we believe that Garrett's going to stay a Cleveland Brown? Because that will drastically affect this pick.
I mean, personally, speaking in denial, I think one team is going to land him. I feel like with everything that I've been seeing, especially over the weekend, with the Eagles are expected to throw the house at them. The Bills have been in talks about Myles Garrett. Obviously, the Lions are always going to be in contention there, hopefully. This is the one pick where I could definitely see, if we want to talk about trading, I could definitely see Cleveland trading back to someone like the Jets.
Someone who could pursue a QB.
If the Titans don't, and they just want to get Abdul Carter, get that pick out of the way, I think this is where Cleveland could set them up for the future. Trade this pick back to, let's say, the Jets or even the Raiders, teams that are quarterback. I wouldn't say desperate, but
because you think the Giants have the 3rd pick, and odds are they're going with the quarterback.
Yeah.
So if you're really sold on Cam Ward, you're gonna move up to take him here. So of the teams who would move up, it's probably the Jets or Vegas. So who do we think's moving up here?
I think the Jets are more likely to throw the house.
Yeah.
I think with Pete Carroll landing in, I was going to say Oakland, but in Las Vegas, I could definitely see with all the rumors going around with Russell Wilson, I could see Russell Wilson making a return with Pete Carroll. I think the Browns trade back here and go try and trade with the Jets, and the Jets try and land themselves Cam Ward.
All right,
be a little bit cheaper.
So we'll say that they're saying that they're at least swapping their first rounders.
I would say so. Yeah.
What else are the Jets giving to move up here? Because clearly a 1-for-1 is not going to go.
I mean, they're getting rid of Nick Chubb, correct? Maybe trying to bring in Breece Hall if Breece Hall's contract is something the Browns want to be able to take on. It's definitely a long shot. I don't think they're going to trade away a guy like Sauce Gardner, but I think if we're going to look at what Cleveland needs, maybe a running back doesn't hurt if they only move back there and then another first for maybe the year following.
I think if anything, they probably stockpile picks. Because you think they'll probably get, with how deep this running back class is too, I could 100% see them taking an RB on day 2. They have a 2nd and 2 thirds, Cleveland does. So I could definitely see them getting either another 3rd or a 2nd.
Yeah, because the Jets just have a 2nd and a 3rd. Like, most of them are 5th and 6th round picks. So, I mean, yeah, they could definitely stack up some 2nd and 3rd rounds.
We'll do... So what I did for a trade, now we can agree on this. I have Cleveland giving up their 2nd overall pick and their 4th rounder from this season for the Jets' 1st rounder this year, the Jets' 1st rounder next year, and their 2nd overall pick, or a 2nd round pick this year. So the Jets are moving up, giving up their 1st pick on day 2 and their 1st rounder next year to get their quarterback of the future. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Alrighty, so the trade is the Cleveland Browns trade back. They give up the number 2 pick and their 4th overall pick, the 103rd selection in this year's draft, for the 7th overall pick from the Jets, the 42nd overall pick, their 2nd rounder from the Jets this year, and the 2026 Jets 1st round selection. So with the Jets moving up, I think consensusly with them needing a quarterback, they go with Cam Ward here.
Yeah, I agree.
think Cam Ward, of the 2 quarterbacks that are there, are going to go. He's going to be the first one to go. So, Cameron Ward, you are a New York Jet.
Cameron Gorman.
As a fellow Cameron, how do you feel about joining the Jets?
John's not here, so it's all right.
Aaron Glenn, I have a lot of faith in him. I know John doesn't. I think they can set themselves up real well for the future, but they need to spend a little bit, which I know John and maybe a lot of New York Jets fans don't necessarily want to take that risk right now, but, like, honestly, is it going to get any better? Probably not.
All right, and it's also nice because now because you're going to have to start paying some of these guys soon, some of the guys that they've drafted over the last few years. So it does kind of give you, now why it is a early 1st round pick that you're going to have to pay, it is a lesser contract than trying to go out and sign somebody. So they draft Cam Ward, and with the 3rd overall pick, the New York Giants are now on the clock. They're going quarterback.
Yeah.
There is no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
There has been clamoring that, Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Giants. I think it's smoke and mirrors. I really do not see the Giants.
Yeah.
I don't see Aaron Rodgers going from one side of MetLife to the other. There is no shot in hell that happens. It's not the long-term fix. They're not a quarterback away. Save a little bit of your money that you'd have to pay Rodgers. Bring in Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback prospect that we'll ever see, and I don't think that this is a great quarterback class. I think it's got to be Shedeur Sanders. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. There's been the connection with Malik Neighbors, and he definitely he has traits. I think Sanders is very marketable too, so being on a team like the Giants, that close to the Big Apple. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that would go right for Sanders. So with the third overall pick, the New York Football Giants draft Shedeur Sanders. Now, moving to fourth overall, the New England Patriots are on the clock. And New England, they were pretty solid this year. I was pleasantly surprised with how the Giants looked this year. Or not, the Patriots looked this year. I think they have their quarterback of the future in Drake May. I think the big thing is you want to make sure he stays upright, and I think you want to make sure that, you know, he has some weapons. Because while their weapons weren't bad per se, I don't know if they're top caliber receivers. So it puts them in an interesting dilemma right here. Because there are some pretty good receivers at the top of the draft class. They have McMillan from Arizona. You have Travis Hunter, who plays both sides, but you could also go and address the offensive line. I wouldn't say there's no way they could mess this pick up. I think they're okay doing whatever. I still have a feeling that they go out and sign T. Higgins. That's my big prediction, is they're going to go and bring in a receiver in free agency.
Yeah, because Drake May has the talent. I think if they build a better line, I think he'll create more opportunities to, you know, make the offense happen.
100%. And now, while he didn't grade as the top offensive lineman, he graded just .02 behind the top spot. Will Campbell was excellent this year for LSU. I don't think there's any arguing that. He's on the younger side too. He's been a left tackle his entire career. In his 3 years at LSU, has only allowed 4 sacks across those 3 years. He's been really good. I think you have to protect your moneymakers, blind side, and I think bringing you Will Campbell is going to be the answer for that. So with the fourth overall pick, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell, offensive tackle, Louisiana State University. Now we move to the fifth pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are they're there.
Duval
Indeed. And I mean, you saw what Brian Thomas Jr. did this year. He was exceptional. I think they have a lot of faith in Trevor Lawrence still, but that defense was so bad this year. So it's tough because I think Liam Cohen would really want to build up the offense on his first day. I don't think you can. I think you have to address your defensive needs. Now their secondary isn't awful. I think they have a couple of good pieces. Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen, Devin Lloyd. The front seven, they have some good pieces. I think the interior defensive line is in need. I think they could potentially go secondary. But I think if you're trying to get a game record and really build up the defense, Mason Graham's the first one that pops out to me. You build up your interior O-line, graded really well at the combine, graded just under 6.5. Repped out 24 on the bench. Draft comparison is Christian Wilkins. And then per a personnel director for NFL team, I love how the combine loves to keep names secret. Graham can be a nightmare for O-line coaches because the defense can line him up over the worst athlete inside. So he grades as a very solid athlete for as big as he is, standing in at 6'3.5", just under 300 pounds. He was on that Michigan team that won the Natty 2 years ago. Just an absolute beast. So a lot of defense could be going early in this draft. If you're not going Mason Graham here, who are you going with? Are you going to take... Because if you look at the board right now, Travis Hunter is still there.
I don't think they're going to go for a guy like Travis. I think he's not that he's going to drop. I just don't think this is the draft for him. Mm-hmm. So, I guess put it lightly. It's not that he's a bad player. I just don't think the teams that are currently up right now aren't really going to be looking for that secondary, like you said. I think their best bet is probably Mason Graham, but this is the one team where I would say I'm the most confused on where they actually decide to land with.
I think they'll go Graham because they want that. They want to continue to build that front seven. So we'll go with the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Mason Graham, defensive tackle, from Michigan. So that's 6 overall. We have the Las Vegas Raiders, who desperately need a quarterback, but with the rumors surrounding Russ and in the position where quarterbacks, I wouldn't say aren't of abundance right now, but I think Jackson Dart's more of a mid to late first rounder. So unless they're moving back, which I don't see them doing, what I could see them doing though, I see them going offense, no doubt in my mind. And I did a mock yesterday morning, just to kind of mess around, see what's happening. If you look back at any of the Seattle Sean Carroll coach teams, who did they have?
The Legion of Boom.
Other side of the ball. They had a beast in the backfield. Now, there's a certain beast from Boise State who I could 100% see going here.
Mr. GT?
Now 6th overall is very ambitious for running back. But it kind of proved that this year. You looked at Barkley. You looked at Gibbs. You looked at Henry. You looked at Jacobs in Green Bay. You kind of need a good running back now. It's not like in the past few years, it's really been by committee. And now, while Genty did have a ton of tread on the tires from this past season, Sean Carroll, if it wasn't, or not, sorry, I know a kid named Sean Carroll. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, if it wasn't him as the coach, I wouldn't be as sold on it. With Pete Carroll being the head coach, I could 100% see Genty going to Las Vegas. I could also see them going McMillan here. Or if they want Hunter to be a wide receiver, I could 100% see them going Hunter. So they're going to go offense here. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that they go offense.
Definitely, yeah.
But what is the direction that they go offensively? Do they go for someone on the outside, or do they go for someone in the backfield?
I don't know. I mean, Genty's not a bad pick, but this is tough because their quarterback room, I'm not saying they're going to go quarterback because I don't think they will, but I'm thinking wide receiver-wise, like, is Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell going to be deadly with McMillan? Not because of McMillan, but because of, their talent. Like, are they going to live up to, what McMillan wants if he gets drafted, let's say?
And, I mean, you look at the guys that they have in the wide receiver room right now. The only two that are super notable, I won't even say super notable, Jacoby Myers, who is a solid receiver, but he's their wide receiver 1 at the moment, and Trey Tucker. Those are two names that are not bouncing off the page. Now, why Brock Bowers was phenomenal this year, they desperately need a good pass catcher, but when you have the chance to bring in a guy like Genty, how do you pass it up? Especially with a coach who loves having a beast.
That's true, yeah.
So if we were to go here, McMillan or Genty?
I'm kind of leaning Genty. It kind of convinced me a little bit.
All right, so we will go with the 6th overall pick. The Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State. So now 7th is the Cleveland Browns after trading back. Now this is where it gets interesting because, again, we mentioned the Myles Garrett stuff earlier. There are a lot of good edge rushers that they could get in this position. But if you're also looking, they could use a little bit of help in the secondary alongside Ward. So where could they go here? Because if you want to go for secondary, there are 2 very good cornerbacks available in Travis Hunter and Will Johnson from Michigan. As well as there's a ton of good edge rushers.
Yeah.
Shamar Stewart from A&M tested really well. James Pierce tested really well. Mike Green from Marshall, really well. The 2 Georgia boys. So there's a lot of options for Cleveland. The thought process we have to have, is Garrett getting traded? Because if so, then they're going edge here.
I think at this point, I think he wants out. I think they're gonna have to. I think they're gonna have to give him up in order for the future. I don't see a reason why they hold on to him. Granted, this is extremely biased. But I even if they trade away Myles Garrett here, I still don't. I think they lean more towards the secondary rather than going an edge.
Okay.
And I also think I wouldn't be shocked if they were going to go secondary for this. I wouldn't be shocked if they decide to take Will Johnson over Travis Hunter to try and avoid all the stuff with Dion at the beginning of the year, like having these guys like hold out and not going to a team that's not going to be Super Bowl ready or even
alleviate some of that.
Good point. Yeah.
I also think like it's so weird with Travis Hunter because I don't know if him him wanting to be this like 2-role player in the NFL is going to hurt his draft stock or not. That's why I think if they just go Will Johnson, they just get their corner. Like he's not going to have any issues. He's not going to be put me in the slot like for this play. Like I think they go safer. I think they go Will Johnson.
I think the only concern with Johnson, now why he will be recovered by season's beginning, is he did miss about half the season last year for Michigan, and it showed that defense was not as good as their national championship team, and that's also what happens when you lose your head coach. Things like that happen. But I can't completely disagree. So with the 7th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns select Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. Now 8th overall, very, very interesting. The Carolina Panthers, who found something in Bryce Young after an early season benching, really started to pick it up. Now they're going to definitely need some help on the defensive side. But I think if you're really trying to figure out if Bryce Young is your guy, you get him a weapon. And Tetaroa McMillan is still on the board. The big body receiver.
I was just about to say that.
And I think, while Adam Thielen had a really solid year, he's on the older side. Leggett is still trying to prove himself a little bit. I think Leggett would be great too. We love the accent. We love. There's a lot.
He's worried about cooking right now, but he's got to balance it.
There's a lot to like about McMillan. So I think you could make the argument for Hunter, but kind of the same thing. Like, is he gonna want to play both sides? I think he's better as a cornerback.
The wheels are turning, Cameron.
The wheels are turning. I'm going to disagree with both of you. I think, not even think they go defense. I think they would, if Tyler Warren is there. I think you have enough faith in Adam Thielen to get it done for at least one more year. You have Xavier Leggett. I think they can wait until the second, maybe still is too early. I think they can even wait till the 3rd round to be able to pick up a wide receiver. I don't think they should pass up on Tyler Warren. I think they get him.
It's not a bad argument.
They don't necessarily have the greatest tight end.
They could go.
I'm trying to think of this dude's name.
Tommy Tremble.
Yeah, Tommy
and
Tremble.
They have Jatavion. I think it's Jatavion.
I have it here somewhere.
Jatavion Sanders.
Yeah.
But we saw how. No, I'm not going to say he is the next Brock Bowers, but
you
saw
saw
how
what
much
happened in offense like that.
On an offense who isn't the greatest, who had a lot of quarterback troubles, like we're seeing with the Panthers. I think they should go tight end here. I mean, I understand why you guys with McMillan still being there, but it's with wide receivers. There's always that guy who comes out of the 4th or 5th round who is easily the best wide receiver of the entire draft class. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. You look at even Puka Nacua his rookie year. It's the one position where you can kind of take a step back and not have to worry about it too much.
I think the argument has to be at this point is who do we think is going to be the bigger impact player? Well, and now Warren is. This is not a diss at Warren. I think you opening or broadening the horizons because I didn't even think about that.
I think he had a great playoff. I don't hate him.
Corey, it's up to you.
God, this is tough.
Yeah.
Because
I think no matter what you're gonna say, I'm gonna hit Warren on my mock draft.
That's tough because I talked about McMillan. He was one of my guys, I believe. And Warren was great too. I mean, I don't know. I either way, I think you're getting a good weapon, but I think I'm gonna have to go at McMillan because of Thielen on the way out. Like both made a good point, and you said they can always get a late rounder in the tight end position also too. You never know.
There are some decent tight ends in the draft this year that they could grab in the 2nd or 3rd if they want to.
Yeah, like Elijah Arroyo that I mentioned.
And even Sanders. Sanders, it was his first year. It was a 4th round pick. And now he wasn't super consistent, but you look at a couple stretches of games. 5 catches for 49 yards, 6 catches for 61 yards, 4 catches for 87 yards. So there's definitely something there, but I think if you compare Bryce Young with a big body receiver in McMillan, it's a win-win no matter who you take, but I agree with Corey, and I'm not saying it's a bad point, Cam, but I'm going to say with the 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select Tetaroa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona. So now to the 9th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints, who are in a terrible position, no cap space, offense is really going nowhere.
Take a punter.
Probably.
Or sell the team.
But there's a lot of things that New Orleans needs. I really don't know what the best scenario is for them. I think it's defense.
Probably because that defense was
really
god awful.
And I think, you get to pair someone with a veteran like Cam Jordan, it would be huge. And this is the year to do it. There is a ton of edge rushing talent. So you have Walker and Williams from Georgia. You know, I mentioned Green and Pierce earlier. Even Shamar Stewart, all of them rated relatively well at the not relatively well. They were the top three behind Carter, and then Pierce was tied for the spot after that. And Walker's more he grades more as more of a linebacker, but still like he's going to be an edge rusher rather than like a middle linebacker type. I think we can agree they're going to go edge here.
Yeah.
Who are they taking here? Which one? Because there is so much talent. Do you take, someone who's proven how great a Georgia defense is and take, safe pick? Do you take a freak athlete like Pierce or Mike Green, who comes from a smaller school but had 17 sacks this season? What is the direction that you are going here?
That's tough. Man, I mean, you could always go safe with like Walker Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Walker, I think when I checked, he had like 6 or 7 sacks this year. So, I mean, if you're the Saints, I think you just take anybody that's going to boost your defense because they're not going to turn. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think they're going to turn around and be a playoff team this coming season.
What's nice about Williams, too, Williams does have a good bit of diversity. He didn't just play one position. He kind of bounced around the defense. He did get most of his stuff. Most of his snaps off tackle, but he did bounce around, was in the B gap, was in the over gap, off ball a little bit. Did grade pretty well according to PFF. I really like Pierce. I really like the athletic upside that he brings. My vote will be for Pierce here. I'll let you guys say your piece, but I'm gonna go with Pierce would be my pick.
I think I'm going to go with Jalen Walker here. I like the idea of getting someone who is more that linebacker built going for him on the edge, especially with Kellen Moore coming in. I think the Eagles in particular did a great job of utilizing those linebackers in almost unorthodox ways that worked so well. Granted, I don't think they're going to have a freak athlete like Zach Bond, but I think they can get more utility out of Walker than anyone else. So I think I would just take the safe pick here. But
yeah,
I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's a bad pick in the slightest. I think Walker is a solid player for sure. I like the athletic upside that that Pierce brings, but I'm not going to disagree with that at all. So with the 9th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints select Jalen Walker. They say edge, but edge linebacker from the University of Georgia. So now 10th overall, the Chicago Bears. There's only one direction that they're going to go. They need to build up the offensive line. There's no doubt in my mind. What's his name? Caleb Williams was getting murdered the entire season. So I think it's offensive line for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. There's 2 picks that are popping off the page right now. Kelvin Banks from Texas and Amand Membu from Missouri. And those are the top 2 behind Campbell. Campbell is the top offensive lineman in the draft, but the other 2 graded really well according to PFF. A little bit on the younger side, just still yet to turn 21, probably be 21 by draft day. Great movie, phenomenal movie. Got to watch that again. Both graded very, very similarly at the combine. I mean, it's a toss-up right now because we've seen how offensive linemen can be bust pretty quickly, and that's kind of true with the entire draft. So the thing is it depends on preference now because Banks has been a left tackle his whole career, and Membu has been a right tackle his whole career. So I guess the biggest thing is go to the depth chart. Let's see what Chicago would be more in need from. And if you're looking at it, it's most likely going to be left tackle because I think they're all right with Darnell Wright on that right tackle, at least for one more season. I think just purely off of team needs, you're going to take Banks here. I really don't see them. I think you have to protect his blind side. And you look, Banks has been that left tackle for Texas for now 3 years, has been almost an every game starter and has allowed just 4 sacks. So I think it's got to be Banks.
Yeah, I think I agree because I think you want a guy, first of all, that's familiar with the position, and they kind of want change. They want him to grow and develop, but they kind of want change as soon as possible.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a pushback for me. You know, I think Ben Johnson proved it at Detroit. He loves his 2 versatile tight ends. I'm still looking at Tyler Warren here.
I don't think you can, dude. It'd be different if Chicago had any remnants of an offensive line. They don't.
Yeah,
They
but
really
like
don't.
I'm trying to look at your part where you said like obviously like O lineman can be bust in a minute. Like unfortunately, that's just the role of the position. But and it's not even like I don't disagree with you guys because I could even see them taking the most fast and explosive tackle that's available in this position because Ben Johnson's going to try and throw him a 40-yard pass at some point this season. I know with how he runs an offense, I wouldn't be shocked if they try and beef up that tight end room at least for the first, and then look in the second round to take an O-line. I understand what you're saying.
I can't see him with his first pick trying to be too cute. And there's some guys you talk about having that 2 athletic tight ends, 2 good. There's guys they could grab later. I cannot see it right. That's my only argument.
Especially when Caleb was sacked 68 times.
It'd be different if like the O-line was like in a little bit of need. No, this has to be. So Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle, University of Texas. You are a Chicago Bear, unfortunately. So now we go to the 11th of our pick, the San Francisco 49ers. Now there's a certain man who has been stumbling down the draft, a la Bo Callahan. And I think this is where he finally gets selected. I cannot see Travis Hunter continuing to stumble. Now, if he went one more pick to Dallas, 100% Dallas would make this pick. I can't see him falling any further. This has to be the Dallas. This has to be the Niners pick.
I agree. I don't think I don't think the Cowboys would draft him if he was there available.
I just think Coach Prime would be in Jerry's ear too much, and they would take him.
That is true.
Yeah.
So with the 11th overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers may not be the biggest team need, but they're going to go with the best available. They're going to take Travis Hunter, cornerback / wide receiver from the University of Colorado. So now 12th overall. The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Dallas had a bad year, obviously, with Dak being injured. Injuries kind of just derailed their entire season. They have a good roster, for sure. I think offensively, they're relatively sound. I think they do need to address O-line to an extent. Tyler Guyton was really bad in his first year. Zach Martin hanging him up.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that you need to do on the offensive line. So I could definitely see them, because there's guys who are grading here who probably shouldn't go this early, but I think you have to take them here because you need offensive line. This is going to be the one year where they could, if Genti dropped this far, they would jump on it for sure. They would go flashy. But seeing how the draft is kind of played out, I really can't see them passing up here. I think you have to make the smart pick.
I also could see them trading back here.
They could.
If Genti goes off the board early, I could see them dropping back to the middle of the first round, like somewhere in that 22nd.
All right, let's
I also don't know who they would trade to.
Let's explore this. Well, okay, so who would be willing to take this top player in Tyler Warren? Because he's the best available at the moment. So who could make this big splash and be willing to give up an extra pick or two? Because I think if he falls to Miami at 13, I could definitely see Miami pouncing on it. So who could hop Miami? I think Cincinnati could definitely be in the mix.
I was going to say Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's one that pops off the page. Denver as well.
I could see the Birds trying to trade up to get Williams.
Just Georgia.
Yeah, just because the Georgia Bulldog is there.
Because we both agreed on Cincinnati, I say we explore the Cincinnati avenue with Dallas. I think Dallas moves back, gets a few extra picks for your first year. Schottenheimer, give him a little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the trade that I have is not going to, it's going to be a 2-for-1. Dallas moves up, or Dallas moves back, Cincinnati moves up, and they give up next year's third round. You agree with that? That's good. 2-for-1. I don't think with how big the leap is, Dallas is going to, because it's only a few spots, I can see Cincinnati leapfrogging and taking Warren here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so trade coming in. For the 12th overall pick, Dallas will trade back to 17th and receive a 2026 third-round pick from the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals move up to 12th overall, and it may not be their biggest team need, but it's definitely something that will help this offense grow.
If he's still there, they got to move up to get him. I would
You
say.
have to get him. Cincinnati Bengals with the 12th overall pick select Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. It's now 13th overall, and probably to Miami's benefit, because I think they need to continue to address the offensive line. But I think if Warren's there, you had to have taken him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it benefited Miami that they did that, but by Miami having him taken off the board, it forces you to go offensive line. And I think, especially with Tua being lefty, you need to protect the quarterback's blind side. And who better than Membu? We talked about how he's played right tackle. This is your guy.
Yeah.
So
look at us knowing ball.
Look at us
knowing ball.
ahead.
Try my best.
now, 14th overall, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They're kind of in that weird middle ground of being there, but not really, but could, be a couple good picks away from being there, but could also really screw up this draft. They definitely could have used Warren if he was available. Unfortunately, he's not. Now, there is Colston Loveland, my mistake, from the University of Michigan, a tight end. Now, there hasn't been many drafts in recent memory where more than 2 tight ends have gone in the first round. I think the last one was 2022 or 2021. Now there's been multiple guys who grade as a first round tight end who don't end up going.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see them, getting another weapon for the offense and having this be a true do or die year for Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
So Loveland is nice. I think they could definitely use help in the secondary. Malachi Starks being there.
I was going to say, I think their smart pick here is Malachi Starks. I mean, just looking at the depth chart, because I unfortunately could not name the Colts safeties, Julian Blackmon and Nick Cross. I mean, they got some decent depth. I mean, they got 4 stringers for both safety positions. I think they go. I think they go safe here. They need help in that secondary. I know Anthony Richardson needs his help, but
you can grab him. You can grab guys later.
I think from all the talks that we've had about AR-15 this past season, I think we all know how I stand on him. I think they work trying to build up the defense.
So 14th overall, the Indianapolis Colts select Malachi Starks, safety from the University of Georgia. Now 15th overall, the Atlanta Falcons, natives of Georgia. There is a Georgia Bulldog who is available here, and they could use the edge help. But they're all also, we mentioned the other guys who are at the edge. So there's definitely ways to go with that. I also think, you could always bring in a shiny new toy for Michael Penix to have. I think Mooney was really good this year. He overperformed. I think they still have a ton of talent in London and Robinson and Pitts. So I think it's, again, first round probably shouldn't be a receiver, but there's definitely an argument to be had there. But the way I really see them going is edge. Now the question is, do they go with the hometown pick of Williams, or do they go with one of the other guys in the draft?
I think they stick with the hometown.
I think so.
Atlanta, if I remember correctly, I mean, granted, they did not have some of the best home field advantage this past season. I think they need to bring in a guy who knows the area pretty well, that is going to be willing to get fans into that stadium. I think Falcons fans need something to want to root for their team, because I think looking at last year's draft with signing Kirk Cousins and then signing Michael Penix with your first round pick, it definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think they need to bring in someone who's going to try and bring that fan base back.
Yeah, and I think the Falcons want to redeem themselves, because everybody was like, why the hell did they draft Penix?
Yeah.
So I think they got to win them back.
With the 15th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Mykel Williams, edge rusher from the hometown Georgia Bulldogs. Oh. Now 16th overall, another team who could use an edge rusher is the Arizona Cardinals. Now they could build up the offensive line as well. I think they're going to go line one way or another. It just depends on what side of the ball that they go. Finished 8-9 last year and 3rd in the NFC West. I think they could definitely go offensive line. Josh Simmons being the best available tackle at the moment. I really see with how Steichen being a defensive-minded coach, I could see them bringing in defense though. So kind of the same question. What way do they go here? Do they go with the athleticism of Pierce? Do they go with someone who's a little bit less recognized because of the smaller school and Mike Green? Or do they go Shamar Stewart? There's 3 excellent edge rushers here. Who are we taking?
I think Pierce.
I was going to say,
the NFL has changed. You need that explosiveness on your D-line especially.
So with the 16th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from the University of Tennessee. Now Dallas had traded back. Here we are at 17th overall. So they get to regroup a little bit. They got the extra pick out of it. They really, if they want to go edge, they definitely could. There's the ton of talent here. What is the direction that the Dallas Cowboys go with this selection? I don't think they could build up edge. I don't think they really need it. If anything, I see them going on the interior. And the biggest one popping off my page right now is Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Ole Miss. That's where I see them going. I really don't see them, mock draft database says they need a running back or receiver. Theoretically, they could reach for a running back. The top one, according to mock draft database, would be Amarin Hampton from the University of North Carolina. I just don't see it happening. I think they go interior, and I think Walter Nolan has to be the guy.
I think so. I agree with you. I mean, even if they went with Hampton, I mean, Rico Dowdle didn't really have a bad year. I mean, he rushed for 1,000 yards. It wasn't like a bad off year where the running game was just so terrible.
And I think that theoretically, they could definitely still go running back later in the draft.
That's what I was about to say.
You could probably grab them. They traded back. They have the extra pick for next year, but they still have a decent amount of picks for this season. I think you can grab a running back later in the draft. So I think you got to go interior line. So with that pick, the 17th overall selection for the Dallas Cowboys is Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Ole Miss. Now, 18th overall is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, when I did my mock draft yesterday, I went a little ballsy with this pick. I went at 18th overall. I don't think they're sticking with Geno long term. I do
really.
My pick here yesterday was Jackson Dart. Now I know it's insanely ballsy to go with that. I understand that, but at the same time, I don't think they're sticking with Geno in the long run. I really do not see it happening. I think there's a lot to like about Dart's game, and now he's the best quarterback prospect. Absolutely not. But I think there's just a lot to like with him. So that would be if I really think Seattle goes bold here. But if they want to continue, they've been, in the process of, rebuilding a Legion of Boom type of defense. There's still plenty of talent they could go with here. I think they could also address the offensive line because the O-line has not been great.
That's what I was going to say.
So I want to go with the ballsy pick, but not necessarily going to happen. So where would you guys go if you're Seattle?
I don't think they're going to go quarterback. I really think they're going to go offensive line because their recent draft picks, their names are escaping, but they haven't really impressed, and the offensive line wasn't super great. So I mean, you can always get someone like Tyler Booker from Alabama. I think they're going to play it safe. I think they're going to give Geno one more year. Just another team that's going to give their quarterback that they thought was going to impress like another opportunity.
Kind of the same thing with how deep the draft class is next year as well. So I like Booker. I think address the interior line. Simmons for the outside as well would be nice. I don't think I dislike either of those picks. I think they would go interior if anything. But Cam, if you're Seattle, are you going interior line? Are you going outside? What are we doing?
I don't know. My head's still spinning about that quarterback, Jackson Dart. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's not a bad choice.
The safer is probably interior.
All right, so with the 18th overall pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman from the University of Alabama. So we move to the 19th overall pick, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up. Interesting to see where Tampa Bay could go, because Godwin is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
That's right.
So. Yeah. I was going to say, I think they go wide receiver here. I think with the injuries, not that, Mike Evans still had an absolute fantastic year, but, age is always going to be something that's going to hold players in the NFL back. I think it's time to start to give Baker that young weapon. Who's the youngest wide receiver on that team right now? I'm trying to think.
Is it Jalen McMillan?
It probably is McMillan. And McMillan was phenomenal this year, but I think if Baker Mayfield proved if you can let him sling it, he's going to go out there and sling it.
I think Chris Godwin's going to be one of those guys who's going to land on a team with a wide receiver 3 and just end up.
Maybe the Steelers.
I think he needs to. Yeah, that would be a great.
Maybe the Steelers, Biggs.
I think it's time. I think he's going to be wanting a little bit more money than the Bucs are willing to give up right now. So I think they go young.
So there's 3 wide receivers who come to mind: Luther Burden from Missouri, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, and Matthew Golden, who tested really well at the combine from the University of Texas. Also, sidebar: Isaiah Bond is a clown for saying, "Oh, I'm going to break the record," and then not doing that, and then getting beaten by multiple of his teammates. But Matthew Golden tested pretty well at the combine. Now, do I think that's who they go with here? No. But I think he definitely, a little bit of food for thought. I think that definitely needs to be in the conversation. Did run a 4.29. And the biggest thing is he draws comparison to Chris Olave, which is huge, especially for a team that plays Chris Olave twice a year when he is healthy. Burden's comparison is to Garrett Wilson, and Egbuka's is Jackson Smith and Jigba. So, ironic, all three Ohio State wide receivers. But where do we think they go here? I really like Egbuka. I don't see Golden going here. I think it's Egbuka. That's who I'm going to put my name in for. I think there's been so much hype around him for the last few years that this is where Tampa Bay goes.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
All right, so with the 19th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State University. Now, the Denver Broncos at 20th overall. Offense is another big need. So this is where Burden could go. This is where Golden could go. Or, as I mentioned earlier, there is Colston Loveland from the University of Michigan, which Denver, if you according to Mock Draft Database, that is their biggest need. I think offense is 100% the direction they go. You saw what Bo Nix did the second half of the season, really started to pick it up, and that's without really any big-name players. You look at this offense, their running back room, Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime. The receiver room, Sutton, Vele, Mims. Troy Franklin has that Oregon connection, but is he really going to translate at the next level? Adam Troutman's your top tight end. I see them going Loveland here. I see them going with the tight end, but I could see them going other ways offensively. What is Denver doing?
I mean, I would agree with tight end because even Vele, I'm just seeing how 475 receiving yards, he still was busy. And I just don't think they have a star tight end in Troutman. Mm-hmm. I think if they get Loveland, that offense could, again, progress isn't linear, but I think he would be a really key addition to the Broncos.
I don't disagree with you guys. I'm thinking more or less, I think their defense needs a lot of help. I think Bo Nix was able to get enough done with the current weapons that he has had at wide receiver. I could see them going secondary or somewhere in the linebacker position because I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head, obviously. But what was that one game that they had against the Browns? Was that the game where it was like 34 to like something like it shouldn't have been as close? But
I think it was the Monday night.
32.
Their secondary struggled a lot this season, and they gave up a lot of points that they realistically just should not have done, especially when, granted, Jameis Winston was hitting Jerry Jeudy that game like it was no one's business. I could see... I don't disagree with you guys, but I think their secondary and like that linebacker position needs a lot of work in Denver if they want Bo Nix to be successful.
Mm-hmm. I think there's definitely a way with how this draft is shaking out. They could definitely get someone who falls into the second round. But I think when you have a guy like Loveland available, especially, you invested in Bo Nix, I feel like you're going to want to build around him. So I think they're definitely going to address that further down in the draft, day 2, day 3. But I think with their day 1 pick, they're going to go with Colston Loveland, tight end from your Michigan Wolverines, Cameron.
Oh.
All right, so now it's time for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21st overall, in need of everything and anything.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
I had to. Where are they going here,
Cole? There's no question. I don't care if anyone disagrees. It's wide receiver. There's no question. We could use a corner, but we just seriously need another wide receiver weapon. Big Z could vouch for me, like begging.
We for sure do, but I was honestly thinking the exact opposite, that we go corner here.
Okay.
Because I just feel like it'll be a lot easier to pick up a good wide receiver in free agency than a good corner. I feel like there's a lot more available. Brandon Ayuk saga V2 is apparently upon us again. But I would not be upset whatsoever if it was wide receiver. Because you still have 2 that I think are first-round quality.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 very good receivers still available in Golden and Burden. But if you look at cornerback, Jadon Barron from the University of Texas still available. PFF grades them as their second cornerback. He graded as a 6.35 at the combine. Very athletic. Had a 10.3 broad jump, a 1.5 second split. So is it receiver or is it corner, Corey? I'll let you make the executive decision.
Oh man, it's because Jack made a good argument now. Yeah, I think I got to go with Jack and go corner because he makes a good point. I mean, there's a couple free agents, you know what, and I'm the one that just said with Chris Godwin too. I mean, that's a good point. So yeah, you know what, I'm gonna change my tune. I think corner's a good idea to go for.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers gonna go cornerback here, and with that, they will select from the University of Texas cornerback Jede Barron. 21st overall. So now coming up is the Los Angeles Chargers. Khalil Mack is hitting free agency. Joey Bosa is getting old. So I feel like they're going to go edge rusher. And there's two very talented ones still there. Who do they go with? Do they go with Stewart or do they go with Green?
Oh, that's tough.
I like Green for, how he played. He didn't play top talent, but he absolutely balled out for Marshall, the Thunder and Herd. But Stewart as well. Stewart is very, very, very talented. Didn't get as many sacks, but he also drew a lot more attention on that defense. So who do we think is going to be, Green or Stewart?
Probably Stewart.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because of the Texas A&M name. I think they're gonna. I think he's just. I think that's what their focal point's gonna be on.
So with the 22nd overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Shamar Stewart, edge rusher, Texas A&M, bringing up the Green Bay Packers with the 23rd pick. I think they're going to go after a big splash for their receiver room. They have so many. They have like 100 wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s. They don't have any 1s. I think they'll go in free agency to try and address that. So with that, I think they got to go on the defensive side of the ball. Mock Draft Database says their two biggest needs are cornerback and edge. And there's a lot of that right here. I think Green is with Green still being available, that's huge for them as well. They could also go interior D-line. There's a couple guys who pop out, Kenneth Grant from Michigan being one of them. Is this where Green finally gets selected? Green goes to Green Bay?
Yeah, why not? You know what? I think so.
The Packers are putting the Green in Green Bay with the 23rd overall pick. Mike Green, edge rusher, University of Marshall. Bringing up the Minnesota Vikings, 24th overall. I mean, they were excellent on both sides of the ball, overperformed by miles. I think what B-Flow did with that defense was great. But I think you can always improve defense. I don't think there's a lot they need offensively. They're going to figure out if they're bringing back Donald or they're going with McCarthy. So I think it's going to be defense, and I think interior D-line is their biggest thing. So it's Derek Harmon or Kenneth Grant. Those are the two top names popping out for the defensive. And they could go secondary. I just think the secondary prospects right here would be a little bit of a reach, but you could. You have Nick Emanwari from South Carolina if you want to go safety. You have Siobhan Ravel Jr. from ECU and Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame if you want to take a shot here for those positions. So do they go for that interior D lineman or do they try to build up that secondary?
Cam, I'll let you go because I'm torn. That's tough.
I don't know. This is where the first round gets a little weird.
Yeah, like late first rounds are always like, because the Vikings were great, like you said, but I know they need help in some areas. It's like
it also comes down to whether or not they try and re-sign Sam Darnold.
That's true too. Yeah.
I guess do we want to have that conversation first? What should they are we thinking that they're probably going to go away from Sam Darnold? Not that I'm saying they're going to draft a quarterback here.
No, I think they go with McCarthy. Theoretically, too, they could go running back because Aaron Jones is a free agent.
Yeah,
that's true.
And there is a certain UNC running back that is available here that if you really want to continue, I mean, B-Flow made it work with guys who I wouldn't say aren't like the biggest household names, but there weren't too many super household names for this Minnesota team. Their defense was solid. I could definitely see them, KOC loves good offense. You bring in another offensive piece, it makes it even more scary.
Yeah.
So then the question is, are they going to? What happens if Aaron Jones stays?
I think Aaron Jones is going to warrant too much money. I think you can go cheaper. So do we think your boy finally gets picked?
Then in that case, then I think so, because he's a home wrecker, Amarian Hampton on the ground.
The 24th overall pick, Minnesota Vikings select Amarian Hampton, running back from the University of North Carolina. What a pick. What a player. So now coming up for the 25th pick is the Houston Texans. No doubt in my mind, they need to build up the offensive line. C.J. Stroud was under pressure every single play this season, and I think it proved you need to build up this O-line. There's no doubt. It was awful this year.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. It was.
And I think what's nice is you do have some versatility here with Josh Simmons. Now, he is the top available offensive tackle. He does have a little bit of connection with that Ohio State alma mater with Stroud. I think they also need to address the interior line. So Gray Zabel, he's very versatile. He can move inside, outside, up, down, left, right, A, B, square, whatever you want to do. So do you think they go with someone from Stroud's alma mater, or do you think we go? Well, there is also Donovan Jackson too, another interior offensive lineman, who they could go with. I think there's a lot of different directions they can go. You know what? I wasn't thinking Jackson originally. I think you got to go Jackson. He played his first 2 years primarily at guard. He moved outside for the latter half of the season. I think there's too much need on the interior. Their interior line was unbelievably bad. So having that versatility, and you can always move him out after. But with the 25th overall pick, the Houston Texans select Donovan Jackson, interior lineman, Ohio State University. Now 26th overall for the Los Angeles Rams. Again, could use some O-line. But with the rumors about Cooper Kupp going to be gone, this could be your chance to get his replacement.
That's a good point.
Because I think O-line's probably the bigger need. I think you're okay with the receivers you had. Tutu Atwell started to step up, DeMarcus Robinson, and there's still a chance that you do not trade Cooper Kupp. I think it will happen, but there's a chance that it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I just think the safer pick would be to go O-line. And I think with Simmons being still on the board, I don't think you can pass him up.
No, I was going to say Simmons.
All right, so 26th overall, the Los Angeles Rams select Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, another Ohio State alumni. Now, 27th overall, the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. Where are they going here?
I don't know. That defense was kind of bad.
The defense was not pretty, to say the least. I think their skill positions offensively, there's no need. They could go offensive line. I think that wouldn't be the worst decision. But they ranked second to last in passing yards to only the Jacksonville Jaguars. I could see them maybe addressing the pass rush as well. But I think their secondary is really weak. I think after the season, you have to address that. Which is frustrating because they have talent, man. I mean, Nate Wiggins, Humphreys, Stevens, like they have talent, but I think this is where they go. And I think Ravel Jr. is the top grade, or according to Mock Draft Database, is the top cornerback available. But I think they go with a more household school. I think they go with Morrison. I think you have to. I mean, Notre Dame's defense was the second best in all of college football, and maybe it was by proxy that Morrison was like that, but I think Morrison had a big enough role in their success as a team, and I think you got to go. I think you got to go Morrison.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so with the 27th overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Benjamin Morrison, cornerback from the University of Notre Dame. Now up, the Detroit Lions. Cam.
Floor
Can I
yours.
take a look at your computer real quick? My mock draft shut down, so I gotta
Yeah.
make sure I have all the
Yeah.
stuff correct.
So Mock Draft Database saying that the defensive line is their biggest need. Can you agree with that?
No. We need a kicker.
Well, you're not spending a first round pick on a kicker.
I know. I don't know, man.
You want to spend it on Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State, the kicker.
It's like I'm trying to think also looking at this as if we have the chance at Myles Garrett. And if we do, this pick is completely irrelevant, which is kind of sad to say. But, like, I don't know, because every mock draft that I keep seeing from all the Lions, like, analysts that I follow and stuff, they're all, for some reason, they all think that we're going to somehow draft another cornerback, which I'm not really a big fan of that. But if Kenneth Grant is still there, and if we can't land Myles Garrett, I think Kenneth Grant would probably be the safest pick here. I don't see really anywhere else the Lions would go.
Okay. So
But
with
we'll go Kenneth
the
Grant.
28th overall pick, the Detroit Lions, according to Cameron Gorman, are selecting Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman from the University of Michigan. Now, 29th overall, the Washington Commanders on the clock. It says their biggest team need is wide receiver, but they just landed Deebo Samuel.
Not anymore.
So the Commanders in a good spot for this upcoming season, playing with house money now. Where do we see them going? I think their defense was very stout. I don't think there's a tight end in this range that would replace Zach Ertz if he decided to retire. I think your best bet is maybe continue to build up the O-line. Make sure your franchise quarterback stays healthy.
Yeah.
Josh Connerly?
I don't think so. I really like Zabel from North Dakota. I like his versatility. So it's between those two. It's between Connerly and Zabel.
What's the bigger issue right now? Do they need a guard? Do they need to look at maybe someone who's a guard that can rotate to play center eventually
I think
for
they
them?
need to address the inside more. That's why I feel that it would be.
Yeah, actually, no, I agree with that because I think Jaden Daniels has enough athletic ability to keep it, at least for pass protection, to be able to get it out. I think if they can buff up that run game a little bit, I like that pick.
All right, so
Very
with
stable.
the 29th overall pick, the Washington Commanders select Gray Zabel, interior lineman from North Dakota State. So now the Buffalo Bills on the clock. Defensively, they could use some help for sure. I think they could also kind of address the receiver room. I think there's talent that could still be there. But, Josh Allen did make it work with what they had. So is it offense or defense? What are they doing here? I think there's a lot of things they need to do defensively, but they could go with trying to beef up the offense.
Besides wide receiver, where else do you think on offense they would need to buff up?
Not this early. I think it'd purely be receiver just to get more talent there.
So I think if we're talking that, I think they can wait on a receiver.
I think they definitely need secondary help, and I think we had Baltimore pass up on them. I don't see it happening twice. I think they take Ravel Jr. here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so with the 30th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills select Siobhan Ravel Jr., cornerback from East Carolina. Now, the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs on the clock. It's got to be offensive line, dude. It was it was unbelievable.
It was awesome to see.
I think that at this point he's fallen too far. Josh Connerly Jr., you're a Kansas City Chief. So now the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock.
Soren and Vinny.
I think it's gonna be an edge or a linebacker type. I think they're gonna pursue Garrett, but this is contingent that they don't get Garrett. I think Scorton from A&M be a phenomenal selection. I think Campbell, if you want to go secondary, and even it's a little bit early for him, but just where Philadelphia's at, I couldn't really see them taking him in the second round. I do still really like Jack Sawyer. Now, I think it's kind of early for Sawyer to go off the board, but I really like Jack Sawyer, man. I would really like to see Philadelphia bring him in.
Soren, what do you think?
Well, I mean, if you're feeling Sawyer, Vinny, then go ahead and take it. I mean, like I said, I think their defense could have maybe a couple more key components. I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen with Zach Bond too.
Well, that's why I brought up linebacker and potentially going with Jahad Campbell from Bama. I think it's between those two. I really see them bringing back Bond instead of Sweat. So that's why I do like Scorton. I will not breeze past that like there's nothing. I think Scorton is very talented, but I'm really high on Jack Sawyer, and I think this is direction Philadelphia.
I
All
agree.
right. So with the 32nd overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jack Sawyer, edge rusher from Ohio State University. So as we quickly recap, if this loads, load a little slower, why don't you? But so going based off of memory, here we go, it finally loaded. So we had 2 trades in the first round. New York Jets moved up to 2nd overall, and the Cincinnati Bengals moved up to 12. So going through the draft, Abdul Carter, 1st overall to the Titans. Cam Ward to the Jets at 2nd. Shador Sanders to the Giants at 3rd. Will Campbell 4th to the Patriots. 5th overall was Mason Graham. 6th overall, Ashton Gentry. 7th overall, Will Johnson. 8th overall, Tetaroa McMillan to the Panthers. 9th overall, Jalen Walker to the Saints. 10th, the Chicago Bears draft Kelvin Banks. Travis Hunter finally goes to the Niners at 11. Tyler Warren, after the Bengals trade up, go to Cincinnati. Ahmad Membu goes to the Miami Dolphins. Malachi Starks to the Colts at 14th. Mikael Williams, 15th overall to the Falcons. James Pierce, 16th overall to Arizona. Walter Nolan to the Cowboys at 17. Tyler Booker, 18th overall. Emeka Egbuka, 19th to the Bucks. Colston Loveland to the Broncos at 20. Jahdae Barron to the Steelers at 21. Shamar Stewart to the Chargers. Mike Green to the Packers. Amarian Hampton, 24th overall to the Vikings. Donovan Jackson to the Texans. Josh Simmons to the Rams. Benjamin Morrison to the Ravens. Kenneth Grant to Detroit. Gray Zabel to Washington. Siobhan Ravel Jr. to the Bills at 30. Josh Connolly Jr., 31st overall to the Kansas City Chiefs. And last but not least, Jack Sawyer to the Philadelphia Eagles at 32nd. We're going to do a mock draft once we get a little bit closer to draft day, probably the week of, because there's going to be plenty of things that we can check out in the meantime. But let's move on with the regularly scheduled program. So it's time for the HKB Monday Parlay. Just a reminder that gambling is a serious issue. If you have a problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER today. All right, boys. After shaming Cameron 2 weeks ago, we are all in shame as we all got it wrong, besides Cameron.
Thank you.
But all right, so as the only person to get it right, Cam, what is your pick for this week?
So we're gonna be revisiting something because we got to figure out was just an unlucky coincidence or if it was meant to be. So we're gonna be taking LaMelo Ball for 20+ points. It wasn't available last night when I looked, but I'd imagine it's probably around like the -110, somewhere around there, those odds. But last time I took LaMelo Ball for 20 points, he left the game after 4 points with an ankle injury or something. So we're gonna revisit that. We're gonna run it back.
All right, Soren, what's your pick for the week, buddy?
I will be taking the Toronto Maple Leafs money line over the San Jose Sharks. They're on a pretty good winning streak, I believe, right now. They're on a I believe I have here 5-game winning streak because they did play yesterday. So let's keep it rolling. Let's beat San Jose and see what happens. So let's roll with the money line.
All right, Corey, what do you got?
I got the Capitals money line versus the Senators. Now, I know the Capitals have dropped 3 in a row. The Sens have lost 5 of their last 6. They just beat the Sharks their last game, which it's San Jose. You should beat them. But the Senators, man, they've struggled on the road, and their last 10 games, they're averaging about 10 minutes in the box. So they really have been just staying in the penalty box. And I think the Capitals will take advantage of that. Ovi will score, and Capitals will win.
Heck yeah. And the final leg that I got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for 30+ points. In 7 of the last 10 games against the Rockets, he has gotten this. And in 2 of the 3 games where he hasn't, he's gotten 29. So he's always been close. And since the turn of the new year, in the 25 games he's played in 2025, only 8 games has he not exceeded this mark. He averaged 35.5 points in the month of January and has continued his hot streak through the following months. So I think SGA, it's got to be him. It's got to be his night. So to recap the HKB Monday Parlay, we got the Washington Capitals to pick up the victory. For Oklahoma City, we got SGA to score 30+ points. LaMelo Ball for 20+ for the Charlotte Hornets. And the Toronto Maple Leafs to pick up the W tonight. Odds should be between about 350 and 400. So make a little bit of money. A little quadruple up would be nice. Please, a reminder that gambling is a serious issue. If you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER today. All right, boys, it's time for Moi Goy of the Week.
Wait, is that your goy?
No, I thought that was your goy.
No, that's
Moi Goy of the Week.
So I'm going to kick us off. We don't do wrestling a whole lot here. But my Moi Goy of the Week is John Cena. For the first time on his retirement tour, wins his 4th Elimination Chamber. What a way. Books his ticket to WrestleMania facing Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes gets the offer from The Rock. Hey, Rock, go bleep yourself. Fans go crazy. And then John Cena, for the first time in his career, turns heel. I am still in shock at this moment. I'm not upset about it. Fans have been clamoring for this for as long as Cena's been around. I'm very interested to see where this goes, but John Cena, Moi Goy of the Week. Heel John Cena. Your time is up. His time is now. Corey, who's your goy?
So I got a full team, the Columbus Blue Jackets. How about first, sorry, Cam. I know he's got his Detroit Red Wings jersey on today. But playing in their first outdoor game, Jackets picked up a 5-3 win over the Red Wings on the annual Stadium Series this year at Ohio Stadium. And again, just getting another win for Johnny Gaudreau and his family, which rest in peace, and, prayers to his family. I mean, the Gaudreau family walked out with the players. There was a big flag with his number the fans were passing around during the game. And just a great performance by the Jackets in general. Merzlikins with 43 saves. Danforth with the game winner with 2 minutes, even though I do agree that should have been a high sticking call. But again, just another memorable win for this Jackets team, who I think are going to be a sneaky wild card team this year.
Heck yeah. You put in for John's Moi Goy of the Week.
Yeah, John, he texted me this 30 seconds ago. I haven't looked at my phone, but I assume he did. The Columbus Blue Jackets payroll is John's Moi Goy of the Week, also known as the referees. They really brought it together this weekend at the Toilet Bowl. I mean, the horseshoe, whatever it's called, Michigan's second home. Yeah, I mean, just great job by them.
All right. The goys.
Multiple goys. A lot of goys.
All right, it's time to go down the ever scary, terrifying, disgusting Soren's Alley. Make it quick, Soren.
Take it away.
Yep, I will make this quick. I would like to mention first that I have a honorary Moi Goy of the Week, and that is my uncle, John Sheff. He has now picked up over 200 career wins at Virginia Tech just this past weekend.
Oh.
That is very exciting.
Go ahead.
And they played in the Keith LeClaire Classic Championship game just this yesterday. It's their 22nd annual tournament. They finished with a record of 2-1. They beat Kent State, and they also won to another team within that tournament. But they did lose to East Carolina, so that was kind of disappointing. But their record is pretty good so far this year. They're 8-3, heading into their next conference, or their next match, I should say, as they got Norfolk State coming up, and it'll be a 2-game series that will be played on Wednesday and Thursday. Hopefully that might be on ESPN Plus. Who knows? But like I said, that's pretty exciting to see. Also, we have the Maple Leafs winning in overtime yesterday against the Pittsburgh Penguins with William Nylander getting the victory to continue basically their 5-game winning streak, which is also very exciting to see. And like I said in the HKB parlay, I would like to see the Toronto Maple Leafs actually win again today, because they do have the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, the Penguins
who are not
suck.
very good, so they should score a lot of goals. Maybe William Nylander will score another one. Maybe Austin Matthews will score one too. He also finally scored a goal, and God knows when, forever. So congrats to him for finally scoring a goal yesterday in that Penguins game. Very happy for him. Heck, maybe I might even see a Matthew Knives goal too. That would be cool too. But yeah, so this game will be tonight at 7:30 on ESPN Plus against the San Jose Sharks. So we'll see how that goes. And not much really going on for me personally this weekend, but I have two very big important interviews coming up this week for two jobs. So I'm really excited, and hopefully the opportunities will keep rolling on here at Marywood. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yippee. Good job, Soren. All right, let's wrap this one up. Time for the weekly picks. Look at the standings. Warriors at the top.
Yeah.
We're a PG show, so I can't do what I want to do. I want to give you a certain hand motion. I won't do that. Following Corey is myself and Bigsy, Soren, and John tied at 3 and 5, and our former champion from last semester.
Wow.
Really struggled.
Must be tanking.
Yeah. Tanking for the top pick next year. All right, but, we're doing Thursday night's game, much to John's chagrin. A great game it should be. The Knicks and the Lakers. I'll kick us off. I got the Lakers picking up the victory, 134-118. They won the early season matchup this year, 128-112. And you might be thinking, well, they had Anthony Davis. This was a different team. AD didn't play in that game. And now, they won the game without AD. You know who they have on the roster now? Certain foreign man named Luka Doncic. And just absolutely, the Lakers have been great. They've won 6 straight. And the Knicks, they've been winning. They're on a 3-game win streak. But if you look at their wins, they're winning against teams they probably should be beating by a lot more. For example, they beat Philadelphia by 5 points the other night. They probably should have beaten them by a lot more. They've been winning small, and when they lose big. They lost to Cleveland by 30-something points.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Been ugly. So I'm going to pick the Lakers 134-118. Corey, who do you got?
Yeah, same thing. Lakers 128-110. Just reiterating, the Lake show's been red hot since getting Luka. LeBron remains an ageless wonder. He is my sunshine, my only sunshine. The team's just firing on all cylinders. And again, for the Knicks, their last 5 games, they've just been hot and cold. And even, like you said, when they're winning, it's not by much. So Lakers are the better team. They're going to win 128-110.
Gorm.
I can't go against LeGoat, Le Sunshine, La Bombaclat, everything. Lakers 118-112. LeBron probably like a quadruple double tonight. 10 steals, 10 blocks, 10 points, 10 assists. Actually, make it a penta double.
Whatever 5 is.
Yeah, 5, something like that. 10 points for everything across the board.
All right, Soren, what do you got, buddy?
I will be taking the Los Angeles Lakers 110-105. As it says 115-100, which could go either way. I mean,
Wait, so you changed your score?
I originally had 110-105. But now it was adjusted to 115 on 100. But besides the point, it doesn't matter, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, this is going to be a very highly contested game. I think it's going to be very close. I think LeBron and Luka Doncic will both have a pretty good game. But I think the surprise factor is going to be Dalton Connect maybe scoring maybe 15, 20 points, also picking up a couple of rebounds. So that's my prediction. So we'll see what happens.
Cool. Yeah, Soren, you did pick 115-110, though.
115-100.
Or 115-100. That is what you put in the group chat last night. All right, Bigsy, what do you got?
That's fine. I don't care.
I got the Lakers 120-113. LeBron's gonna alley oop to his son, Bronny James, for a windmill. Yeah.
All right, so right now we have a Lakers sweep for John. He's going to go with the safe pick of picking the New York Knicks.
New York
can
faithful.
never bet against your teams. He has them winning 122-117. If I had to be like John, I'd be like, yeah, my name's John. That's really bad. I can't do it. Can you do a Staten Island accent?
No.
All right.
Nope.
He's probably going to rock with Brunson dropping like a 40 bomb. But yeah, so John, the only Knicks fan tonight, the only Knicks fan ever. Boo Knicks. Boys, we got anything before we wrap it up?
No, just happy March. Can't believe we're in March already.
Time to go get our makeup on and
Yeah.
do this
Capstone video.
first acting gig. IMBD will be up eventually.
You know what also happens in this great month of March in about 2 weeks? Dun 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 dun. Real quick, before we go, I saw this yesterday, and I know this has been a thing for a little bit. Oh my God, I love the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I don't know if you've seen this. This conference tournament is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It really incentivizes you to win in the regular season. This is what the bracket looks like.
Oh my God.
This is the craziest bracket. I love it. I love it. I love it. I couldn't be more happy. Look, they call it the Fun Belt for a reason. This is awesome in the truest form. So if you're, a 12 through 16 seed, may God have mercy on your soul, because holy crap, you have to run the gauntlet. But yeah, man, good luck. Or 14 seed, sorry, not 16. So if you're the Raging Cajuns or Coastal Carolina, good luck, man. It's gonna be JMU, but big shout to the Fun Belt for always making it fun. But with that, that's gonna do it for this edition of He Knows Ball. Make sure to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Corey to my right, Ken on my left, Soren is alley, John at the doctor somewhere. Hopefully you're doing all right. I'm Vincent Goldschmidt. Stay ballin', Scranton.